I remember when I had like my biggest day in sales, which was like over $18,000 in sales, was a moment where I was like, oh, well, like I'm never gonna have to work a normal job. But I remember I'm like, dang, I'm just getting these like sale notifications, I'm like, holy crap. You probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Like
it's like
those,
ping, ping, or
yeah, I know
cha-ching.
those notifications. You've been there. I could see images of success and things that I had never seen or experienced before on social media. And those were things that started to inspire me. And, what actually got me interested eventually into the business world.
What is a decision you made that looked risky to everyone else, but had changed everything for you?
Not going to college.
That's a great answer. Some people don't just talk about building businesses, they build the systems that keep them alive. Today's guest is Tanner Planis, an entrepreneur operating at the intersection of e-commerce, logistics, and scale. Someone who didn't just chase success, but engineered it from the ground up. As a co-founder of ShipVelocity, Tanner has helped generate over $300 million in client revenue, becoming a key player behind the scenes of brands that most people see but don't fully understand. From warehouse floors to high level operations, his journey reflects what it really takes to turn ideas into infrastructure. But behind the numbers and the business, Tanner represents a mindset, a willingness to start before it is perfect, to embrace the uncomfortable, and to stay consistent long before the results show up. His story isn't just about growth, it is about evolution, from builder to operator to leader. Welcome to Become the Victor, where we don't just talk about what someone went through, we talk about who they became because of it. Please welcome Tanner Planis.
Hey, thank you for the introduction, brother. You're one of few people who actually say my last name right. So thank you for paying attention on that. And yeah, thank you for having me as well. I'm excited to have this conversation here with you today. Obviously, we've known each other for many years at this point, and I'm excited about all that you're doing as well. So let's get into it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, brother. And for the audience listening, I've known this guy since like 2018. He literally went from a mentor to eventually developing a relationship over time, which is pretty surreal. So I appreciate having you here doing this podcast with me. So Tanner, for anyone who is new to who it is you are, what is your story behind before the success, before the money, before the cars, the houses, everything? What was your story like?
I mean, honestly, I come from a smaller town in North Carolina called High Point. That's where I was born and raised for all my life. And as a kid who was just, not super extroverted, wasn't the most social or like the popular kids in school, I like a lot of other people my age at that time in middle school. We're starting to spend time on social media. Vine was a thing, Instagram was a thing. And so I was just spending more and more time there. And, as the time continued on these platforms, the more I could see other people's life outside of just my small town and my city and what I've seen there. I could see images of success and things that I had never seen or experienced before on social media. And those were things that started to inspire me. And, what actually got me interested eventually into the business world. So I think I'm like a lot of other people out there right now, like a lot of the younger kids like in middle school, high school, who see these things online, don't know what's real, what's not, but just have this drive and motivation to, become successful in whatever that is their eyes. I think that's something I relate to a lot. And that's where I started out. And, the rest is it's been a crazy journey so far, but I'm blessed for where I'm at right now, for sure.
Dude, that's incredible. Was there ever like was there ever a hardship or a pivotal moment in your life where you were in school at the time before the business and everything? Like I knew you were selling stuff at school, like candy, I think it was, right?
Yeah, we tried a lot of different things. Literally selling rocks at one point. Like my dad had gotten a laser engraver, so we would laser engrave rocks for like Valentine's Day, like from this person to that person, charge a few bucks. And I tried to be entrepreneurial from a pretty young age, at least just through middle school, even the basic stuff that a lot of people talk about with mowing lawns and raking leaves, cleaning cars. My parents didn't just give me everything that I wanted, but I still had those desires for things, whatever they were. So I would, put forth my best effort to figure those out. And those are principles that I'm grateful for from wherever they came from. My parents, whoever that told me just get it by myself was huge. Um, But yeah, we're selling a lot of different things like in school.
Yeah, I think it's so cool. I completely overlooked and forgot about the rocks, but I knew you used to sell candy, and I think you even started your own. Wasn't like your own entrepreneurial club or something at school too?
Yep, Ascent. That was an entrepreneur club I started in my high school in sophomore year. And yeah, I basically just recruited my friend group that I had in school to join these meetings. We'd wear a little suit, and I would invite like local entrepreneurs to come and speak. And that was fun. We would also do little games of like, uh, let's all one time like we divided everybody into like 3 or 4 groups, gave everybody $100 each to go and like start a business and see who could make, the most money by the next week. So a lot of people were trying a lot of different things. It was fun.
That's so cool. And correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say it was you, or maybe it was somebody else, but I strongly believe it was you. Didn't you delegate as well to like other schools?
For the club, we didn't. I delegated my schoolwork though at some point. Um, I did do that because I switched to online school after I started seeing some results with my online business,
Yeah.
and you know, then I yeah delegated that the online work as best as I could.
Wow. Before we fully dive into, I think you were like 16 when you bought your Porsche, if I remember correctly. Before we talk about the success and we get into your entrepreneurial journey, was there ever a pivotal moment in your life where you just knew you were, in today's generation, we say built different?
Mm, I don't know if I have like an exact moment. I think I had an innate drive to like figure things out and just have this mindset of like if there's a will, there's a way type of thing. The only moment, and maybe this is fast forwarding into the storyline a little bit, but I remember when I had like my biggest day in sales, which was like over $18,000 in sales was a moment where I was like, oh, well, like I'm never gonna have to work a normal job. And that was like at least one pivotal moment that I do remember. But otherwise, I can't think of one to be honest.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. And now let's talk about your entrepreneurial journey. So, you were started extremely young, selling rocks to then candy. And what was it like to be making this much money at such a young age? Like you're making way more than your teacher at this point, right? What was that transition like? Did you ever find yourself like, all right, Tanner, you got to humble yourself, or were you always grounded? Like what was that transition like for you?
Yeah, I think in retrospect, I look back at myself in like 2017 and 18 when I first started making money. And there's some things I'm like, all right, like, what are you doing, bro? Like that type of thing. But I am also fortunate to say that I feel I have been, raised very well in terms of the principles of, being kind to one another, being respectful. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. And not being one to just always like, it might look like I show off sometimes, but like, I feel like I'm a little more respectful now than I was then. But it was kind of a weird feeling because it in 2017, I was 16 years old then, and I uh, was doing those little things like the club and other things we were trying. Nothing was really working out, but I really had this like drive to just like figure something out, right? Like have some type of breakthrough. And in 2017, in the earlier stage, I had found drop shipping. And at the time, one of the ways I was making like the most money was by having like influencer pages or theme pages on Instagram. So we would monetize by selling shout out space and things like that. It wasn't crazy money, a couple $1,000s a month here, there, but good money nonetheless. And that's when I found out about drop shipping. I was like, this looks like a good opportunity. And so throughout all of 2017, basically it was me just like trying products, trying ads, trying this, trying that. And it wasn't until October of 2017 when we actually saw like that very first breakthrough, like a huge breakthrough with drop shipping. We'd seen some results before, but nothing that was sustainable. And at that time, like I remember sitting in entrepreneur class one day in high school I believe that was still sophomore year. And like my phone is just, I didn't want to turn it off. You're not supposed to take your phone out in school and class, and especially like I was in a smaller school. It wasn't like there's hundreds of students in a classroom. But I remember I'm like, dang, I'm just getting these like sale notifications, I'm like, holy crap. You probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's
Like
like
those,
ping, ping, or
yeah,
cha-ching.
You know those notifications. You've been there and just seen like, holy crap, like what's happening right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, and that was like a big moment for me that day. After that, it like you know up and down, of course, but
Yeah.
that was like a huge like eye opener for me just to show what's possible.
When you started, when before you started like getting into dropshipping and everything, like where did you initially start looking? Like how did dropshipping come to be for you? Like how did you come across that?
I believe just YouTube. There's an OG Dan De Silva who was like one of the first guys that I saw who was making videos and tutorials on YouTube, one of the only at the time. So I would watch his videos in just terms of setup and how to market and do all of this stuff. There were not near as many resources as there are now to get started, but at the time that was huge, and you know, just a lot of self-education, really. I never met anybody in person who was doing drop shipping, so
Yeah.
that was good for me to learn.
Did you have any mentors? Like that's actually a good point too that I'd like to talk about. Is you said you never like this was all new to you. There was nobody else that you can like reach out to and say, "Hey, can you help me with this?" Or metaphorically speaking, hold my hand, to go from point A to point B, so to speak. Did you did you have any mentors that you really looked up to, whether they were virtually or in person?
I think early on, I didn't really. There were some adult figures in my life that I like had looked up to in certain ways that were maybe successful in business in my eyes. Um, that weren't necessarily in like online business or the field that I was in, but I respected them and I liked, certain parts of what they have done. But whether it was by me not finding or me not looking, I think one thing that was to detriment of my like first results and success was not having the people by my side, but that also led to many like learning lessons and things that I feel I needed to experience myself at a young age like that have led me to be able to make like more mature decisions now. Um, it hasn't been until more recent years where I actively spend money on learning and pay for people's time and this type of thing where I know there's this person that's good at this. Obviously, if I'm not their friend or something, I don't expect them to give me their time for free. If they sell their time, then, it may be worth that investment. But I think before that, I had to learn how to invest in myself too. It was like a big part of my journey.
Yeah, it's also true. You definitely have to. Some people, I know I'm guilty of it. Before eventually you learn as you go and kind of things, where you reach out to certain people and either when you get ignored, rejected, or you wonder like, well, if they say they're if they portray to be this person, like why aren't they helping me, right? And I know I'm definitely guilty of it. But then you also have to understand, one, they too have a story. They too have a personal and professional life, right? And something I learned incredibly early on too is time is your greatest currency. It's your greatest asset, right? Not just for yourself, but for the individuals that you may hope to reach out to you or help you navigate whatever it is you're trying to do. So true, but you definitely do have to invest into yourself, whether it's books, seminars, courses. You have to invest in your education. And now in today's digital world, there's so much free information that's so surreal that literally no one really people rather scroll on TikTok than access free education. And I want to talk on that a little bit. Is what is your what do you, what is your advice when it comes to for someone who maybe doesn't have the financial capacity or availability to invest into themselves, right? What is some free resources that you recommend?
Yeah, I think honestly, there's like two routes that I really lacked on that I believe now anybody can do and without having to pay, someone, a high amount or anything like that. And for me, the first one, and, I'm a little biased just because it's helped me a lot, is like, I think of like when you don't know what to work on, you work on yourself because everybody has, a way that they look at themselves. Maybe they look in the mirror and they decide, oh, maybe I don't like how my hair is, or maybe, I should lose a little weight, or maybe I need to gain weight, or maybe, I need to work on my confidence or my speaking abilities. Like everybody has these internal dialogues with themselves of things that there's a difference between like being super harsh on yourself and just actually knowing that there are things that you can be doing to better yourself and better your life. Like, obviously, if I, drink a lot of water every day and I work out every day, that's going to be good for me, right? Versus not doing it. So I think the first thing is like just doing these things, like conscious congruence. Like, if you feel like you should be doing something, or you should be doing something, then do it. Don't go against it. Like, if you have these two things in front of you, like, an apple pie or an actual apple, depending on who you are in your current circumstance, which one should you? We know in our own mind, in our own stories. So I think that's a big thing. And that kind of like falls over into where can you actually get the information, and the value is, like you said, like the info market, just information in general, like it's been flattened. Like now everybody has access to everything, which sounds like a massive disadvantage for some, but it is a huge advantage if you're willing to actually use it. Like you said, a lot of people would rather scroll on TikTok than watch something educational. And that's just because these platforms are made to be addictive. It's not normal for, me or you to go and, study on YouTube how to do this or how to do that. Um, and I don't think you can force anybody to do that. You just have to have this, um, mindset of, if I want to learn how to do drop shipping, or if I want to learn how to, write a book, okay, where do I start? I can use any AI tool. You could talk on Claude, ChatGPT, Google search. YouTube is still one of my favorites because I think that there are, let's say in the drop shipping space, there's tens, 50, maybe hundreds of YouTubers that talk about drop shipping. But, not everybody's going to click or vibe with the biggest person or the fifth biggest person. So by exploring YouTube, you can connect to a certain person that you like, really like the principles or the way they communicate or teach, and really learn from that person. And maybe that's someone down the line you invest actual money with to learn from their, their time or program, whatever. But I think those are the two things, is like your personal development is always free. Making the right decisions is free. And two is using what you have. It can be a lot, but it's really not an information problem at the moment. It's just actually doing the things is the part that most people struggle with.
Yeah. Everybody, like you mentioned earlier, how everybody has their own insecurities to some extent, right? And for example, me starting this podcast is that I had this idea for, I don't know, like over maybe like a year roughly, until eventually I'm like, just start it, just do it. Yeah, you're not going to be perfect doing these interviews. Sure, your first episode may not come out good or great, but you improve upon your communication. You improve upon how you want to approach it, right? And you eventually just learn as you go, and you adapt to what you feel is right and needed. And I'm really, really curious about more so your journey. Is so you began doing research, you began educating yourself. Were there ever people that doubted what it was you were doing?
Um, Definitely. Uh, I mean, I've been fortunate to have like good people on my side for sure. My family is always been supporting for the most part. Maybe they didn't agree at times with, me being in middle school and saying, "Mom, like I want to drop out, like I'm not going to college." you know, as a young, if that's your kid in middle school or something, they don't have anything to show for it, really. Like having that mindset, I'm sure is kind of scary, which I think it was to my mom a little bit, especially as like, her parents were like the first in their family line to have, actually go to college and have that opportunity. Um, I just think for me, I saw a better route. And look, I'll be honest, I don't really have like a crazy like sob story of like a bunch of haters and things like that. If anything, most of the doubt and hate has come from either like my own self throughout my ventures, and then people online. And at first, the people online, it used to get to me a lot, and I would like argue with these people. But I learned after time, like the best thing to do is just let them be, they're hurt people. Hurt people hurt people. The best thing I can do is become the best version of myself and, do what I know is right.
Yeah, absolutely. So true what you said. Hurt people hurt people. If someone is rude or trying to project their own insecurities onto you, there's some form of pain that they are currently experiencing that, one, they don't know how to deal with, or two, they quite frankly avoid it, right? To fix the problem, fix the issue. I remember there was one recording in particular about your mom. I can't remember exactly if this was in the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey. You might even know what I'm talking about, but you recorded a voice message, and you were talking to your mom about you going to be rich one day, and she was like, well, she was like, good for you or something like that. But she was like, she really wants you to pursue college, which is understandable, right? She wants her best interest at heart is to make sure, one, to support you in any capacity, right? But two, to make sure you do something, you pursue something. She doesn't want to see her son doing nothing, right? And you were like, Mom, you're like, I'm gonna start a business, and and you were gonna do this and that, and she was like, good for you, but I still want you to pursue college. You're like, you were like, even if I'm making the teachers like 100,000 or something. I forgot what number you said, but you were just going back and forth. You know what video I'm talking about?
Yeah, and I told her I'll buy her a car. Like, even if I buy you a car,
Yeah, that's right.
and she's like, yeah, you still got to go to college.
What
Um,
was what was that moment like for you? One, I'm pretty sure you're excited, right? But two, to kind of hear your mom still talk about her having a certain vision for you, but you obviously just have a certain vocation going on within you, right? That she can't quite understand. And it's not because she doubts you, but just because she can't see what you can see or what you envision, right? What was that moment like? Like, did you feel shut down a little bit, or did you just have this extra feel to even want to make it happen even more? What was that like?
yeah, I mean, that's a good point of you know, the feeling side of it and what it was like in that moment, and like how I saw something that she didn't see. And to be honest, I don't know how I was like that at that time. I don't know if, if it's genetics or just how my brain is wired or how I get motivated by things. But like, I feel like some of the best moments in entrepreneurship or for entrepreneurs is like looking back at the past and those times where like the hungriest moments, just like really wanting it so bad. And that's how I felt at that time. And it was a conversation that I'd had a lot with my mom. And, I would never argue with my mom or yell at my mom or anything like that. I would get spanked if that was the case, growing up. And, it wouldn't do me good or, whatever punishment.
Yeah.
So, at that time, we would have these arguments a little bit like, it wasn't like yelling at each other. Like if you see that video, but I just happened to capture it one time. And it was like you said, it was one of those moments where she just couldn't see something that I saw. And I was someone stubborn and I knew what was like destined for me and that I was going to find a way to make it happen. And yeah, that's why, when I found that video, that's why I decided to buy her the car. I wasn't just going to buy her a car like randomly. It's not like she needed a new car or I had this grand idea. I had found that recording towards the end of like 2023 and I was like, dang. And I'd sent it to her. She's like, oh, now you got to buy me a car. And I'm like, you're right. And on Christmas, we did the surprise. I don't think she thought I was going to buy her a car, but, um, you know,
I think it was
there were
a
other moments like this too.
I think it was a convertible Jaguar, I think.
Yeah, the F-type convertible.
Yeah. What was that moment like for you? Like, to reflect off of that moment, knowing you said you were going to do it and you like literally did it, right? And especially not just doing it, but buying it for someone so special, because you and your mom seem like you have a really, really good relationship. And what was that moment like to, I mean, it's every young boy's dream to buy their mom a car or dream house, or help fulfill their wishes, their dreams, right? What was that moment like for you?
It's a good question. And honestly, it's like I feel like the way that other people see it, it like seems better than what it actually was. It was definitely like a cool thing to be able to do. She still has the car, she drives it a lot, she takes very good care of it, and that's, that makes me happy. Um, and doing things for other people is always like a fulfilling thing. It's like a milestone really. But I guess in the moment it wasn't really like it was like cool, but it's kind of like what's the best way to explain it? Like it's not like this moment just happened out of nowhere. Like that's a combination of all of the experiences, ups, downs, emotions, and feelings from that moment that that video was recorded of me having that conversation with her to that moment right there,
Yeah,
where it's kind of like that moment was cool, but like the more valuable part and exciting part for sure is just like reflecting on the journey to get there. And it sounds kind of cliche, but I feel like the it was cool to do, but it's like I don't know. People make it out to be more than it was, in my opinion.
yeah. No, I can, like, you're very, very humbled. And one thing I'm noticing more so, especially like during this conversation about you, is you achieved quite a lot of accolades and milestones, and you just seem incredibly humbled from it. And I think the reason why you stay so grounded is just because you don't focus too much on the wins and you don't focus too much on the losses. Like you can make $1 million tomorrow, for example, and you're like, you probably be excited and thrilled about it, but it's like, oh, that's cool. Now what's next? Kind of thing. And I think that's what really, really helps you stay grounded. And I want to touch on that a little bit. What do you think keeps you so grounded? Is it your mindset? Is it something spiritual? What do you think keeps you grounded?
I mean, it's a good question. I think, um, honestly, I do like to like show off a little bit when we have a win or when something's going on or, showing the car video thing with my mom because those were the types of things that really like inspired me when I was like really young and hadn't left my town. And I like, that's what drove me, honestly, was like these material items and things like that. Um, but kind of as the older I get, like I still have love for these things. I enjoy cool cars, cool properties, art, watches, whatever. I really like nice things and I like to show them, but I don't like to make them like my whole personality because at the end of the day, the most valuable thing, and I think me and you are kind of similar in these ways, is, I'm the most blessed. I have a very close relationship, with my family members. I never have people ask me for money. I never like have fights with my family members on either side. And I still keep close with everybody, and that's something that I'm very grateful for. And the things that I cherish the most are like memories with them and um, my friends. Sometimes I get annoyed with these people in person. Oh man, I wish I was by myself doing something. Like to be honest, like sometimes this happens. I get frustrated. I'm like, oh, I want to be alone. But then in retrospect, I'm like, that was really cool because um, yeah, that's important to me. And what keeps me grounded is knowing like the stuff, bro, you can lose it all. Like you can gain it all, you can lose it all. Um, but your people are like your people. Like if you love them and they love you, they're there. I also am a believer. I have faith. That's been something very helpful for me is having faith in someone outside of myself, having faith in God is something that has helped me just through times like I can be very, very hard on myself. And, I don't talk to anybody about that. So when I'm hard on myself, sometimes I just have to sit back and say, hey, you're good, bro.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, regardless of the problems you're going through, obviously some people go through more, uh, have a different circumstance when it comes to the severity of the storm they're going through, right? But at the end of the day, I mean, everything will be okay. It's just enduring the process of whatever it is you are going through. Now, I want to touch on to your entrepreneurial journey. So you got into drop shipping and you started selling in school. You got into drop shipping. You started seeing you started seeing some success, right? I remember you even bought like a huge inventory of a product. I think it was like a face mask or you bought a huge inventory of something.
Yeah. That was like we'd started this first drop shipping store, me and a guy that were running the theme pages in early 2017. We promoted the hell out of this face mask thing on our Instagram page, and it did, I don't know, close to 30,000 in sales with no ad spend, which is amazing. But then
Yeah.
it just died out. We're like, the product's dead. In reality, we just didn't know how to market. We knew nothing. But we decided like probably like halfway through that sales period of like, let's buy inventory. Like this Chinese shipping sucks. Let's buy inventory. So we put together some money and I actually borrowed money from my grandma. I've talked about it like very little. Um, but I had asked my grandma, I said, hey, I'm working on this business. We already have proof of concept. Here's sales. I need like $1,000 more to buy inventory. She's like, would 2,000 be better? And I was
Oh.
like, I love you. And and that helped us buy that inventory and the label printer and all these things because I was shipping it myself. My friend lived in New York. Um, and so that was like she was like my first investor ever. And that business didn't work out. Those face masks and mailers and everything sat up in my parents' like attic room for like 4 years, 5 years. I don't know how long, a really long time before they threw it out. But yeah, we took that risk in buying inventory. And it's funny how full circle things, go now, because now we have a warehouse filled with, people's inventory, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of inventory.
That was so, so cool. I know you made a joke. I know you made a joke one of your videos like a few years ago. You were like, if anyone wants a free face mask, like here it is, because you didn't know what else to do with it. Did you ever happen to get rid of those?
Yeah, I mean the thing was though that they expire because it had weird ingredients, man. One was like pig placenta was one ingredient.
Oh wow.
And they had an expiration date of I don't remember what the expiration date was,
Yeah.
but they expired, so they all just got thrown in the trash eventually.
Yeah. I remember you used to make a joke out of that and like because you had so much inventory, and
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty comical. I'm just reflecting off of like the history of how long I've known you and certain things you would say. When you were navigating this journey, you're can you actually remember the first time you ever made a sale? Like, do you remember the dollar figure?
Yeah, I can't remember the exact dollar figure. It was either I think it was like 1999. I have a screenshot on my phone because me and my friend had launched that face mask store and we made a little video, we posted it, and we're just like waiting for the sale. And we're texting each other. And I'm like, bro, it's only a matter of time. He's like, yes, bro. And then like we got an order like while we were texting. So I took a screenshot while we're texting how the sale came in. And yeah, I don't remember my hundred, thousand, hundreds, thousands. I don't remember anything else
Yeah.
um except for that one.
That is so, so cool. Like my first dollar was 13.97, and I'll never forget it because I was asleep. And that was like one of my dreams and milestones. I think that's every entrepreneur's dream.
Did it wake
To
you up or you woke up to it in the morning?
I woke up to it in the morning and it was like so cool. And I had to like look at it 10 times to make sure I was seeing it correctly and everything. So it was a pretty cool moment. Yeah, but I know like every entrepreneur probably remembers like the first dollar they made, especially if they're asleep. What was it like to go from, seeing these little success moments to now starting to see bigger numbers, and then eventually you started seeing consistency and you started seeing repetition behind everything that one you had worked so hard to make happen, but you finally, I don't want to say necessarily rely on that income, but you are confident enough about what it is you're doing and you start seeing these numbers just coming through. How does that passive income um, mentally, like how is navigating that, mentally, like seeing all these different types of success?
I don't know, bro. I think I was pretty stupid, honestly. You know, because I live the same life that a lot of like drop shippers have, with ups of like hitting sales and stuff, then oh, your ad account goes down or you're starting to go unprofitable, but you want to keep things going and you try all these different things. Maybe you have a payment processor go down. Like, dude, at the time that we met and we did like a coaching thing, like that was like one of the worst times of my life, like mentally. Like I was in like a dark time then, but I was like working on the business side and really like, working to make things continue. Um, and I feel we stemmed a relationship from there and like it's kind of a cool story. But like I've lived a life that a lot of drop shippers have as well. And, you know, a lot of lessons throughout it. So I don't know if I have ever had like actual passive income. I believe that like I had a lot of active income throughout different periods. And like I didn't know how to handle. I didn't know how to manage it, nothing like that. I didn't have people on my side giving me financial advice or anything like that, which, led to me going broke like what, two or three times, from that period of like starting, through now. I'm fortunate that like the last what several years has been like some of the best of my life in all areas. Um, and I think that feeling is really good when you can gain peace of mind. I think that's the thing you can get. I don't think it necessarily comes from like an income level, but more so of like what do you have aside? Like, can I stop working right now and be okay for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years? Like, because then you start playing the game of business a little bit differently, where it's not a matter of like, I need to make a sale tomorrow or else I can't pay rent or I can't pay my mortgage. But instead, you get to a point where you're okay personally. You don't need to be taking all this, as much money as possible out of the business. And you can just play the game of business for the game of business to grow the business and build something real. And that's what we've been doing with ShipVelocity, which has its own story in itself that like connects to my dropshipping story. Um, and I think that's where the most value is like peace of mind. And if you can build that.
Yeah. And even too, like again, I think we did like 2 mentorships in the past. And then of course we just stayed connected through like DMs and stuff like that. I remember you even called me up in the hospital one time just to check in to see how I was doing. I don't know if you remember that. And
Yeah, bro.
which was really, really cool. But even too, like when I reflect back, because I seen your post, I think it was like 2018, and you talked about how bad of or yeah how bad of a season you were going through, how you were navigating a season, and I didn't even know because in the mentorship you just seemed like so calm and collected. You know what I mean? And then as I reflect even more about our experiences, is you even like donated 1,000. I would use the word donate. But you donated $1,000 when I was going to go to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I had the trip going on because I was going to play in nationals, and then I was trying to have money for ads and try to balance the two. And you're like, bro, like, don't worry about it. This week's of ads is on me. I don't know if you remember that. I thought it was pretty cool too. But where I'm going with that is when I reflect off of that experience, more so when I seen you post that video when you were navigating the season, right? One, I didn't know that, but to me, it just really showed much more of your character and added more to who I who I knew or who I thought you were, right? And it is solidified it so much more about your genuine character. And to me, in my opinion, that's a reflection of your mother, which to me was even more special, you know. Um, but so I'm very, very curious. So you started seeing success in drop shipping. Then you said you started dabbling into real estate, right?
Yeah, there's been a lot of different things. I won't speak too much on real estate because I honestly don't know much. I have a mentor who's very successful in the real estate space, and he pushed me for many years to get into it. So I own a few properties. I wouldn't say I'm a great investor or I love the business at this stage of my life, but I do see the benefits. I do see the value, and it's been good for me to like basically lock up money in other things where it's not very liquid. Like, you know, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you invest in watches, or that is that just like a luxury to you? Because
No,
there are some watches that are liabilities, but there also are some watches that are actually investments.
yeah, no, they definitely can be. One of my really, really good friends, and he's also a mentor in certain ways, honestly. He's a very smart guy. Jorge Hernandez. He owns his company is Time Walk USA, and they do like watches and jewelry and that type of thing. So, you're right. Like some watches and timepieces can definitely be investments. Um, I do like them. I'm not wearing one right now. But it's one of those things that's like, if I'm buying a watch, it's not because, for me personally at least, it's not because I'm buying it as an investment. Maybe
Yeah,
it can be somewhat liquid, but it's kind of the same way with cars. When I buy a car that I really like I'm not buying it to just put like to sit in the garage. I drive like my cars like crazy. I put a ton of miles on them. I don't take it easy on them because I understand that like all of this is temporary, not in the sense of like it just comes and goes immediately, but like, this is the life, the youngest I'll ever be and the oldest I've ever been. So
yeah,
I have no need to, try and save a little money by not putting miles on a car. Maybe I'll become a collector at some point, but right now, that's not me.
yeah. Right now, you want to enjoy the experience. You don't want it to just you don't want your the things you like your cars, your jewelry, or whatever. You don't want it to collect dust, metaphorically speaking, right?
Yeah.
And I'm very, very curious. Speaking about cars and stuff, what is it? Is Porsche like symbolic to you? Like you really, really love Porsches. Like what does owning a Porsche mean to you?
Uh, Good question. What does it mean to me? I just think they're like some of the best cars ever made. Um, Great for driving, great reliability, great quality. I would be a Porsche salesman if I could. Um, but you know, I haven't bought a Ferrari yet, but I think I'm gonna be like a Porsche and Ferrari type of guy. You know how some guys are like Maybe they're like a Mercedes or BMW and Lambo type of thing. Like I do like those cars, but I prefer Porsches. And to me, it just means quality, consistency, reliability, and honestly the driving experience. Anybody who's driven a Porsche properly knows like depending on the one you get is one of the best driving experiences you'll get. So um yeah,
That's so cool. Maybe one of these days we got to race for pink slips.
we'll do it, bro.
That'd be hilarious. I know I told you that like several times. I think that'd be comical.
I'll give you a head
Um,
start.
yeah, have like do like a little soundtrack in the background with my wheelchair making like some kind of noises, you know?
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious, bro. So have you always, when you talk about, the Porsche and you like cars, like you really sound like you really, really love cars. Is there like a dream car that I know you mentioned you see yourself owning Porsches and Ferraris. Is there ever like a dream car you would love? Even if it might not fit the vision now, but is there like a dream car where you're like, man, that'd be so cool if I own?
I mean, hypercar levels are things like the Mercedes AMG 1, I think is one that's very slept on. It's very unique. Um, McLaren P1 is another one that I really, really like. And, some of the other ones like some Koenigsegg's and Paganis are cool. I think they're more like art pieces than anything. I really think from a driving experience, I would love to experience like a P1, AMG 1, Porsche 918, and maybe the ultimate one is probably like a LaFerrari or very, very unique, very cool cars. Um, but yeah, at my level now, like the next thing I want to get is there's a specific Porsche that I want. And so we'll get there and enjoy it. And that's it. Keep it simple.
That's so cool, dude. I think it's really, really cool. One, to like have this episode happen with us. It's really cool because when I reflect back, I'm like, damn, 2018, I've known you. I mean, obviously I knew like the digital version of you, and then over time, we talked over the phone a few times and FaceTime and everything. So it's kind of like a really cool full circle moment because I literally looked up to you as, or still do, looked up to you as a mentor, especially when I was in dropshipping at the time and getting into e-commerce and running ads and doing all of these different things. So to have this moment is really, really full circle, like sentimental, in a way. When we're getting to the end of the episode here, is what is, like you mentioned, dropshipping and ship velocity have a story similar but slightly different. Can we touch on the story about ship velocity?
Yes, 100%. And I agree too, man. It's very cool to like be on this call and having this conversation and now, seeing everything else you're doing and, with the book release and, I always see you commenting on people's stuff like, "Hey, let's do an interview." Like you're not just like looking up, "Oh, how can I get people on my podcast?" or "How do I start a podcast?" Like you're just doing it. Like even if it's not perfect right now, I'm not saying that it's not perfect,
Yeah.
but I'm saying like you're just doing it and you're figuring out the best ways to approach people, to have the conversations. And I think you're doing like an amazing job even in this one. Like I feel as a guest, I feel like this is great.
I appreciate that. Yeah, dude,
But
I literally send, I don't want to put the spotlight on me, but I literally send probably like 100 DMs a week. And to me, it's just a numbers game where a DMs and emails. If there's an email in their bio or whatever, trust me, I'm gonna send you an email. And to me, it's just a number game. If I email, say 100 people, that's including messages, and at least one person is going to get back to me, not to say they're going to do it, but at least one person is going to get back to me. So I'm very fortunate with the opportunities this is going, and I think too it's my approach to it. I think is also helping. But back to my question is, what's the story behind velocity?
yeah, I'll tell the story. Also, bro, if imagine if you up those numbers for your outreach, like you're only gonna have more, but soon enough, bro, you're just gonna have like inbound leads. Like you're gonna grow your awareness, your following, and then people be messaging you to do it, and that's when the tides change.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. I thought about doing upping the number too, because to me I have like the 10x mentality, like Grant Cardone. But to me, I'm like, okay, if I do that, then I'm getting multiplying the chances of me interviewing people, and I upload weekly. And then two, I now edit the episodes myself. And then on top of other projects I'm working on behind the scenes, and physically speaking, I'm like limited to a certain extent. So I have to be mindful of like the physical effort that goes on, because eventually I don't want to focus on one project and then eventually the other project starts failing. So that's why I'm like, I think 100 is more like my number. Unless I can delegate my editing process, then so be it. You know what I mean? But that's like, I'm earning that position, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you have a good system now. So, if it's working, it's working. Now, I mean, to answer your question is, in 2018, it was like prime. Like I started my YouTube channel and was meeting people and this and that. Um, and a friend of a friend invited me to some place there where I met this guy who was a YouTuber, and I ended up meeting the guy who was like his manager and editor. His name's Ariel, and we met at that time, and me and him really clicked. I would visit a lot in Miami, and I kind of got him into drop shipping. He saw what I was doing. He found interest in it. He started doing it himself. He's a very like proactive guy as well, and very intelligent. And he started taking off. Like his sales were taking off and all this stuff. And eventually he hit a point with like the drop shipping side where he's like, bro, Tanner, like the shipping is killing me. There's this and that. And he decided to take it upon himself to order inventory for some of his products and start shipping them himself. And then, eventually he started shipping some stuff for me as well, that I was working like e-commerce projects. And then, he had other people asking him to get into it. And it turned into, what is now ShipVelocity, where, at that time, 2019 is like the official start of ShipVelocity. Where he had kind of got that going. Those first few years, very, very slow. Me and him stayed in very close touch, and we remained friends. And it got to a point where maybe 2021, I didn't have a ton going on. He was focusing on that. And, I tried to do like this like formal partnership. I was like, bro, let's just team up and let's just scale this thing. But he had a bad taste in his mouth from previous partnership with without getting into it like too much detail, like the YouTuber in the past, where he basically just got screwed over, which is very unfortunate. And that was someone who we thought was like his best friend. So, for the right reasons, a little hesitant. So we just remained best friends for these last years. And then, but all these years we have little conversations like, bro, let's team up. He still like ships for one of my brands, and he still ships for like some other things that I do. And we're like, bro, we got to team up somehow. We got to finally do it. And, basically we finally came to, a proper agreement to, really scale this thing, because we've worked together in capacities, but now to really like take it to the next level, we finally partnered up, and over the last several months, and we're building a lot of great momentum right now, which is really exciting. So yeah, bro,
I
best
was
3PL in the world.
Yeah, that's so cool, dude. Because I literally seen you go from like drop shipping, right, which is selling somebody else's product and then dealing with other suppliers, right, to then going into digital drop shipping, and then going and then no, I think your warehouse came first and then digital drop shipping. But to see how all those three things like happen to me is like such a cool moment, because I got to see the transformation take place. You know what I mean? And to me, I think that's just really cool. Where do you see yourself like within like the next 10 years? Like what? Like I want to know what also drives you.
Where do I see myself in 10 years? Dude, honestly, I have no idea. I barely know like what I'm doing tomorrow. Of course, I want to continue to build, my foundation, be doing cool things. In 10 years, ideally have a family started, wherever that may be. And my vision has always been like people say, I don't think I'll be someone who just like retires, even if I can retire in 10 years. I think I'll always want to work on something, but I see myself as just, I really, really want the ability and freedom to work on what I want to, which is like, I'm already doing that, but be able to like travel freely with the people that I love, take other people on experiences, um, and, do that freely without having to worry about a dollar amount or a time constraint. um, you know, have a home, be close to family, and not have to worry about money, because I think that's something that affects everybody, honestly, but, to what degree do you let it is where the question lies. I don't want to go throughout my whole life of worrying or struggling, or a family member, a loved one, a friend struggling either. I think if we're just here and we know we're going to die and we're all just worrying about money, then like, to me, it seems like kind of a shitty way to live, to put it bluntly, which is, it's not what I want for me or my people. And I don't want it for anybody, honestly, but unfortunately, it's just kind of the way the world is right now. It's
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a lot of weight to also bear on your shoulders. But then it all comes down to the one question, if not me, then who? Right. And I think it's extraordinary for you not only to have that type of mentality, but to be willing to put in the work to make that happen. So that way down the road, if your family member or your mom or whoever needs a certain medication or treatment, or something crazy transpires, at least while they if they happen to stress over the circumstance or the situation, at least you can alleviate the financial burden that may come from it. And to me, to have that mentality is not, it's not normal, and you don't really see that in today's world. And to me, that's what, in my opinion, defines you as extraordinary.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate it a ton, for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. And so, right before we get into the last or the last question, and then we get into the rapid fire questions, is what do you like most that is different between digital dropshipping and dropshipping physical products?
I think like digital products, digital drop shipping is a really, really good avenue for people that want to learn real marketing skills and like get their foot in the door for making money online, because obviously you don't have a cost of goods, you don't have shipping times. I still advocate for that for people that are like just starting an online business, to get started. But like the most obvious ceiling to that business model is the scaling potential. Simply because like the digital product market, is been, flattened by AI and other things out there where information is freely available. People aren't buying a, how to get a six pack, ebook type of thing anymore. You need things with utility, things that have a use case, whether it's a digital planner, something interactive, or something where, let's say, people need to pass a test to become a nurse. They need to pass the NCLEX in the United States. So AI or information itself can't take that test for them, but you can provide resources that can help them study, learn what they need to do, practice to then be able to pass. And that's where I think the real edge is still in the digital product market. And, I'm still partnered on a store in this space and a couple other projects. And I still believe it's a great thing if you're willing to be proactive. I think dropshipping physical products is still like, it's always going to be a thing. And it gets a lot of people's foot in the door for like physical e-commerce brands, which is great. Um, it's just it's just a different game, right? Less margin, more logistics problems, but a little bit more, easier to get started. You don't need skills necessarily. You just have to like watch a tutorial. Digital products, you need to learn some skills first, which that rewards you. You can make more profit that way. But yeah, those are my takes on both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I ask the last question before the fire rapid questions, is I just thought about it and I want to talk about it a little bit briefly, really quick. Is what is consistency wins for you, and how did all of that come to be?
Honestly, the way it came about was, have you heard of 75 Hard?
Yeah, from David Goggins, I think, right?
Yeah, Andy Frisella, which is like basically it's like a personal development challenge, and you have to do all these things every day for 75 days. And one of those things was you have to read 10 pages a day. And yeah, basically I was recommended a book by a friend to read during that period of my life. And I'm blanking on the name of the book right now, which is really bad because the book was very life changing for me. I don't know if I see it. It's called The Slight Edge. Um, and basically this book just talks about how things compound either in a positive or negative way. How things are, it's easy to do and easy to not do. So for me, like when I was doing 75 hard, I really just wanted, I was like a little too fat. I wanted to lose some weight, right? That was like for me, that's something that I had never solved, which was my confidence in my physical body. And um so the book is just really talking about this concept that helped me a lot in understanding like, it's easy to work out every day. It's also easy not to. It's easy to, eat clean or to do this. It's also easy not to. But what determines easy for you is just how long you do that thing. The more you do something, the more normal it is to you, and the more you're going to be willing to continue doing it that way. And once I thought about it this way, it really helped me a lot with a lot of my personal habits and normalizing what wasn't normal to me before. And basically just like consistently doing the right things, which led to me having, you have like these two graphs, right? Like these two lines start here. And like they basically just split it. Like the further you go, like the further they split apart. And so that's when I realized like there's no like stagnant. Like you're either going up or you're going down. So that's when I decided I wanted to be on the up. And I started implementing this into everything. And that year I just kind of like had this mantra I was living by of like consistency wins. And then I put it on a shirt and then I'll post about it. And then I'll give people the shirts. And then, you know, um, it's been everywhere now. But that's what it means to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I still have your shirt too. I just haven't quite hit my because you asked for my shirt size and I said a large, and then like currently I'm an extra large and I still haven't hit my weight goal. It's horrible. But yeah, when I get it, I'm definitely gonna be posting about it, and I think it'll be really really cool. Uh, cool to show. You know what I mean? I really do love the message. Consistency wins. I'm a firm believer that if you improve yourself at least 1% every single day, it equals out to 365% better. And it's not so much just about growing and becoming better of you, not other people, but better than who you were. It's knowing that you are not where you once be. And you are not where you once were. And to me, that's what really helps a lot of people, especially in terms of their mental health. The last question I want to ask you before we get into the rapid fire questions is I ask every guest this. What is one question you wish more people asked you, but they don't?
Yikes. Um, yeah, I mean, that is a good question because I mean, shoot, I guess it depends what outcome the person wants. I guess one thing that I would say is just because I put myself in a public space and I put myself in a position where people see me and ask questions. And I think something that I wish people didn't do was like I wish they didn't just ask like, yo, how do I make money? How do I start a business? How do I start drop shipping? Like, bro, just go do some due diligence, like, and ask me an actionable question. If you start something and you ask me a specific question about it that could help you, then like I'd love to answer that. But if you just ask me how do I make money, I'd be like, bro, get a job. Like if you want money, get a job. Like, what do you want me to tell you? You want to start a business? Like everything you need is right there. I don't mean to be an asshole. It's just like the reality.
Yeah, it's pretty simply, you ask better questions, you get better answers, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that was a great response. I ask everybody that because it's a little bit, it's thought provoking, and everybody has like a unique response. So, are you ready for the rapid fire questions?
I guess so.
Okay.
Ready as I'll ever
So,
be.
so, so some of them are not so rapid fire, but I like to keep the audience entertained a little bit and engaged. So the first question is, growing up, what was something you didn't have that secretly built the hunger you carry today?
Shoot. Everything that I wanted at the stores, all of like the cool kid stuff, right? Like an iPhone, I guess was the first one. I had to save up my own money and I bought my own iPhone. I have a video of it. Paid like $1,025. Unlocked iPhone 6, I think it was then 6 plus.
That's
Yeah,
so cool.
that's it.
That's cool. When things were not working, what kept you going instead of quitting?
It's just a only way out mentality. Like I've never thought about like it not working. Like I've had doubts, of course, but I've always known and believed like I'll always figure it out. I'm just that type of guy.
Yeah. What is a decision you made that looked risky to everyone else, but had changed everything for you?
Not going to college.
That's a great answer. What is the hardest season you had gone through that no one really saw?
Probably the times like 2019 period, 2020, just really like smoking weed all the time, drinking all the time, binge eating, just completely like doing things that I shouldn't have been doing that led me to also not be in like a great financial position, business position, or anything else. And that's something that like most people like for me at least, I was embarrassed about that. So I never posted me smoking weed or anything like that. It was always behind the scenes. Um, but so yeah, people didn't know about it, but that was like something that slowed me down a lot.
Yeah, it definitely does alter your mental state, and it makes you sluggish too,
Hmm.
especially the next morning, depending how much you do. Behind the scenes, what is harder than people think? Moving physical inventory or building a digital product that actually sells?
Ooh, I mean, they're both difficult in their own ways. If I had to choose one or the other, for a beginner, probably like making a digital product to sell.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely would be easier with a digital product. What is one lesson from your family that still shapes how you move today, even if you never say it out loud?
A lesson from my family. One time my dad told me, um, there was a personal trainer type of guy that he met at the gym and he hired him to like make a meal plan for him or something like that. And the guy was just like didn't really like keep his word. And my dad just like then like instilled in me. He showed me what happened and he's like, look, um, I paid this guy, this happened. Like always keep your word. Like if you say you're gonna do something, do it. And if you can't for some reason, communicate that. And that's like a big thing that I think of now.
Yeah, be a man of your word. That's
Yep.
a great answer. I love that answer. The last question is one word to describe your mother and why.
Beautiful.
That's a great answer.
Because yeah, I love my mom. She's beautiful, in every way.
Yeah,
She's just a
absolutely.
she's just a kind soul.
Yeah, you can definitely tell. Again, like I mentioned earlier, it shows like you are a reflection of her, and it really does show like the teachings and the wisdom and characteristics that she instilled upon you. It's extraordinary. To put it simply, it takes a true queen to build a king, right? And
That's
yeah,
true.
it's awesome, brother. So, how and where people can find you? Let anyone know any projects you're working on. And I got tongue twisted right there. But how can people find you? Let the audience know anything and everything it is you want them to know about you. Social medias, projects, anything.
Yeah, main thing is just my Instagram is at Tanner Planis. That's it. That's where I'm posting the most right now and staying active and my messages and all that good stuff. But the main thing we're building right now is just our company, ShipVelocity.com. We're not just a 3PL. We also have like some of the top partners and resources that we provide to our clients at no extra cost just to help them make more sales, simply because our model isn't dependent on storage fees or anything like that. We only like our business model only works whenever you're actually sending out orders. So, even if you're not a brand owner looking for that type of help, you can always put us in touch with someone. And, if we end up closing them, you get commission in perpetuity there. And, we want everybody to win here. So that's it. Shout out to my mom, my dad, my sister, all of my other relatives and friends and business partners, and Victor, especially for having me here. He's a very special guy. So thank you, Victor.
Yeah, I appreciate you, brother. And for the audience listening, where did you feel less alone while listening into today's episode? And also, all of Tanner's social medias, along with any other additional links he wants available, will be within and linked within the description as well. And this is Become the Victor, where we turn trials into triumph. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And as always, remember, grow through what you go through. And again, we have Tanner Planes joining us today. Much love.